Alright, this is an original Tales First story. This is one of those where someone finally says no and protects what really matters. Alright, let's get into it.
My parents demanded that my 12-year-old daughter pay $100 towards a present for her cousin. "If you don't pay, you are no longer family," my mom said. I didn't shout. I showed them who is no longer family. The next day, I had 53 missed calls. When I opened the front door, I knew something was wrong before I even saw Mia. The house had that too quiet feeling, like it was holding its breath, like the air had been told to keep a secret. Mia was at the kitchen table, shoulders hunched, backpack still on the floor where she'd dropped it. Her hair was pulled back too tight. Her hands were flat on the tabletop, palms down, like she was trying to keep them from trembling. "Hey," I said, soft. "What's going on?" She looked up, and that's when I saw it. The exhaustion that didn't belong on a 12-year-old. Not the normal middle school is annoying tired. Not I stayed up reading tired. This was the kind of tired you're not supposed to see on a 12-year-old. The kind that makes someone's eyes look older than the rest of their face. "Mia?" I set my keys down slowly, like making noise might break her. "Did something happen at school?" She blinked once, like she was loading the right expression. "No?" Her voice came out careful, normal on purpose. "I just worked." I frowned. "Worked?" She nodded and tried to sit up straighter, like posture could hide fatigue. "I cleaned Mrs. Novak's house," she said. "For 3 hours." 3 hours? I stared at her hands. Her knuckles looked rubbed raw. The skin around her nails was red, like she'd been scrubbing at something that didn't want to come off. "You cleaned?" I repeated, because my brain was stalling. "Mrs. Novak's house." Mia nodded again, as if this was the most ordinary sentence in the world. "She paid me," Mia added, a small flicker of pride breaking through the exhaustion. $20. I didn't react immediately, because at first, my mind tried to file this under responsible kid, good work ethic. Neighbors pay for chores sometimes. I wanted to be that mom who says, "Wow, honey, that's impressive." But then Mia flexed her fingers, winced, and rubbed her palm like it hurt to exist. "And I still have homework," she said, voice dipping. "But I'm so tired, and my hands, I can't hold the pen right now. It hurts." I stepped closer, careful. "Let me see." She hesitated, just a beat, then turned her hands over. The skin was pruny in places, like she'd been in water too long. There were faint purple-yellow patches on her wrist like she'd knocked it against something. Not dangerous, not hospital, just too much. My throat tightened. "Mia," I said quietly, "why did you do that today?" She looked down at the table like the grain of the wood was giving her instructions. "I needed money." There it was. The first crack. I forced my voice to stay steady. "Okay. For what?" I asked it gently, like I expected her to say a toy, a book, some game she didn't want to ask me for, and honestly, if Mia wanted something, she could ask. My husband Thomas and I weren't struggling. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable, stable. The kind of stable that lets your kid be 12 without becoming an exhausted miniature adult. So I smiled a little, just enough to keep her calm. "What are you saving up for?" I asked. "Do you want something special?" Mia's mouth opened, closed. She swallowed. "It's not for me," she said, and something in my chest went cold. "It's for Sophie." Sophie. My niece. My sister Heather's older kid, the one my family spoke about like she'd solved world peace. Mia cleared her throat. "They're collecting money. For her birthday." I stared at her. Who is collecting money? Mia shrugged, like shrugging could make this smaller. Everyone. Everyone. The word hit like a weight. How much? I asked, already knowing I wasn't going to like the answer. Mia's voice got smaller. 100. My brain did a strange little stutter. $100? She nodded. I just stood there, frozen, trying to make it make sense. Sophie was 12. Same as Mia. There was no universe where a 12-year-old should be working herself into soreness to fund another 12-year-old's birthday gift. That sentence shouldn't even be possible. Mia, I said slowly, who told you that you had to pay $100? She hesitated again. Then, Grandma. My mother. Mia said it the way you say the name of someone who decides whether you're safe. And that's when I saw it. Beyond the tiredness, the other thing. The part that didn't come from cleaning. The part that didn't come from scrubbing floors. Fear. The kind that sits behind the ribs and presses. Mia, I said, very carefully, what exactly did Grandma say? Mia's eyes got shiny. She blinked hard, like she could keep the tears inside by force. She said... Mia's voice wobbled, just once, then she clamped it down. She said if I don't pay, I'm not... family. I felt my whole body go still. What? Mia stared at the table. She said if I don't contribute, I'm no longer family. I didn't move. I didn't breathe, because my brain was trying to reject it. Like it was an email phishing scam and my mind was highlighting the obvious red flags. That's ridiculous. That's not real. That's not something a grandmother says to a child. But Mia's hands were still red. Mia's eyes were still wet. And Mia looked like she'd believed it. Are you sure you understood her right? I heard myself ask, because denial is a powerful drug. Mia nodded quickly. Yes. She said everyone is contributing, and if I don't, then... I'm not family. A tear slid down her cheek. Then she added, I didn't ask you. I thought it had to be my money. Like if you pay, it wouldn't count. And... I broke open my piggy bank, but it wasn't enough. Mia, I said, and my voice did something I didn't like. It cracked at the edges. Oh, honey. She wiped her face with the heel of her hand like she was annoyed at herself for leaking. I think I shouldn't have told you, she whispered. My stomach twisted. Listen to me, I said. You didn't do anything wrong. But even as I said it, I knew something. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a weird joke. This wasn't my mother being a little intense. This was my mother being my mother. I stood up so suddenly the chair scraped. Mia jumped. I'm going to call Grandma, I said. Mia's eyes widened. Mom, it's okay, I lied, because it was not okay and we both knew it. I walked into the living room with my phone, like physical distance could keep Mia safe from whatever was about to happen. I didn't call to scream. I didn't call to fight. I called because there was a part of me, one stubborn, hopeful, humiliating little part, that needed to hear my mother deny it. She answered on the second ring, cheerful, like she hadn't just snapped a child's sense of belonging in half. Hi, sweetheart, my mother said. Everything okay? I stared at the wall. Mom, I said. Mia told me something. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. Oh, my mother's voice was light. Curious? Performative. Mia said you told her she has to contribute $100 towards Sophie's birthday present. A pause. Not surprised. Not confused. Just a pause, like she was deciding how to phrase it. Yes, my mother said. That's right. My hand tightened around the phone. She's 12. I said, because sometimes stating reality feels like a prayer. So? My mother replied. 12-year-olds can work. They can learn. My pulse thudded in my ears. And, I said slowly, did you tell her that if she doesn't pay, she's no longer family? My mother didn't miss a beat. Yes, she said, calm as tap water. Because she needs to learn what it means to support family, financial obligation, values. Values, like Mia's sore hands were a lesson plan. I stood there, staring at nothing, feeling something inside me go quiet. Not angry, not explosive. Quiet, like a door closing. Okay, I heard myself say. What? My mother asked, suspicious now because okay is not the response she likes. I have to go, I said. Eleanor. I ended the call. I stood there for a second with the phone in my hand, and I could hear Mia in the kitchen shifting in her chair, the soft squeak of it, and I knew exactly what was going to happen next. I didn't know how yet, but I knew this wasn't over. I need you to understand something about me. I wasn't born with a backbone. I grew one the hard way, like a callus. I was the oldest of 3, 2 years between each of us. Heather came after me, then Leo, the baby, the miracle boy, the one who could burp and still get applause. When I was little, my parents loved to say we were struggling. They said it like it was a weather pattern, like poverty was a season that just happened to us. And when families struggle, someone always gets assigned to understand it. That someone was me. Heather got to be cute. Leo got to be little. I got to be reasonable. On Christmas mornings, Heather would unwrap something that made her squeal. Leo would get something soft and bright and age-appropriate, and my mom would clap her hands and say, "Look at his face!" And I would get something, not nothing. That would have been too obvious. Something small, something safe, something that came with a smile and a line that sounded like praise. "You're older," my mother would say. "You understand." They said it like understanding was a gift, like it should make me proud. And for a long time it did, because if you're the kid who gets less, you learn to make a story that doesn't hurt. You tell yourself, they're younger, they need more. You tell yourself, we don't have money. You tell yourself, it's fine. I'm fine. Chores came next. When I was old enough to reach the sink, I was old enough to scrub it. I did dishes. I folded laundry. I cleaned. I helped. Heather was too busy with school. Leo was too little. Except then Heather stopped being too little, and somehow she stayed too busy. By the time Heather was the age I'd been when I started doing half the house, she still had the kind of chores that were optional, the kind you could forget without consequences. I had the kind that became my personality. "You're the responsible one," an adult would say, like responsibility was a crown and not a chain. And I believed them, because again, rigged game. But I didn't know it was rigged yet. I was 12 when I started working, dog walking, small cleaning jobs, odd little things neighbors paid kids for because it made them feel like they were helping. My parents loved it. Not in a "we're proud of you" way, in a "this is useful" way. They called me independent, mature, a helper. And what happened to the money? It didn't become mine. It went where family money goes when you're the oldest, into the household. Groceries, bills. We need it this week. Just until payday. You understand, right? I understood. I always understood. When Heather and Leo got old enough to work, they didn't. Not once. Not even for fun money. And do you know what I told myself? Not favoritism. I told myself, we must be doing better now, because imagining your parents are unfair is like imagining the floor might vanish. You'd rather keep walking and pretend you don't feel it wobble. If I ever hinted at it, if I ever let a sentence slip that sounded like, why do they get, my parents shamed it out of me. How could you even think that? My mother would say, wounded. Of course we love you all equally. Then she'd smile, sweet as poison. But you're the oldest, she'd add. You need to contribute. You need to be useful. That's what family is. Useful. That word stuck to me. It shaped me. It became the reason I didn't go to college. My parents told me they supported whatever I wanted. They were very generous with words. But money? They couldn't. They said it was wiser not to. They said it like they were giving advice. I looked at the costs and the lack of support and felt that heavy, practical certainty. There's no way. So I went straight to work after school. I started low. I climbed anyway. I didn't get the college experience. I got the pay rent and don't die experience. I worked hard. I got promoted. I became reliable. Eventually, I ended up in management. Stable, decent income. The kind of job that makes your parents proud when they can brag about it. And then Heather went to college. And Leo. There was money then. Not huge, not lavish, but enough. Enough that they could go. When I asked about it, careful, casual, pretending I didn't care, my parents gave me the same story. It was a few years later, they said. We were doing a little better. And then the line that always finished the conversation, you're the oldest. You have to understand. Heather studied something arts-related. She changed majors. She got married. Had 2 kids. Money was always a problem, always just out of reach. Leo graduated and then went traveling. I remember hearing about it and thinking, where did he get the money? I also remember the way my parents' voices sounded when they talked about it. He needed it. He was finding himself. It was important for his life. So they helped him. And by then, I was the only one with a truly stable income. Thomas and I built a solid life. We worked for it. We budgeted. We planned. We didn't treat other people's money like a backup plan. My parents retired, and the family story shifted smoothly into the next chapter. Eleanor contributes. I sent money, regularly, helped with mortgage gaps, bills, emergencies, little monthly transfers that became background noise, and it was treated like normal, like air, like gravity. Then Heather's kids became the center of everything. Sophie, the golden child, got gifts that made my jaw tighten. Not because I wanted Sophie to have less, because my parents would call me to say they couldn't afford something, and then 2 days later, they'd be squealing about a gift they couldn't resist buying for Sophie. We just couldn't help ourselves. They'd laugh. And Mia? Mia got budget gifts and familiar explanations. We'd love to do more, honey, but... And Mia would smile politely because she had the same illness as me. Understanding. Thomas noticed. He said it out loud once. They treat Sophie like royalty, he said. And Mia like... an afterthought. I told myself he was imagining it. Because if he wasn't imagining it, then I'd have to accept something I'd spent my whole life refusing to accept. And then Mia came home with sore hands, and my mother looked at my daughter and did to her what she'd done to me. Only this time, I could see it. Because it wasn't happening to me anymore. It was happening to my child, and suddenly, understanding didn't feel like a virtue. It felt like a trap. The call with my mother ended, and the house felt different. Like the moment a song cuts off mid-note and you realize you've been bracing for the chorus. Mia was still at the table. Thomas hadn't come home yet, and I was standing there with my phone in my hand, staring at the screen like it might apologize. I didn't call my sister right away. I want to say I did, like I was fearless and decisive and ready to burn bridges with a match and a smile. The truth is, I stood in the living room and told myself there had to be a reason. There always is. That's what people like me do. We collect reasons like receipts. Proof, proof, proof. So we're allowed to finally stop. Then I thought, Heather. And the weird thing is, I wasn't even calling to fight. I was calling because I needed clarity. Did my sister know they were shaking down a 12-year-old? Heather picked up like she'd been waiting. "Hey," she said, bright. I stared at my wall again. My walls have heard a lot. "Did you know," I said, keeping my voice flat, "that Mia was asked to contribute $100 towards Sophie's birthday gift?" Heather didn't hesitate. "Oh, yeah." Just, yeah. Like I'd asked if she knew it was raining. I swallowed. "Heather, she's 12. Heather sighed, already annoyed. "Eleanor, listen. It's for something big." "What?" I said slowly. "Is something big?" Heather's voice warmed up, like she couldn't wait to talk about it. "It's a horse camp," she said. "It's offered through school, like an optional thing. Sophie's best friends are going. She's been talking about it forever." A horse camp. Of course it was a horse camp. The kind of thing that costs a lot and makes everyone act like it's more important than it actually is. "How much?" I asked. Heather said it like it was obvious. "Tuition is $900. $900? I blinked hard. "So," I said, very calmly, "you're collecting money so your 12-year-old can go to a horse camp. And you decided my 12-year-old should help pay for it." Heather made a sound like I was being difficult, like I was refusing to join a group project. "Come on," she said. "It's only $100. "Only $100. I let the silence sit. Just a beat. Heather filled it with a little laugh that tried to sound light. "And I mean," she added, "I knew she's doing jobs now, so she has an income." My jaw tightened. I could hear Mia in the kitchen moving her pencil around, trying to pretend she wasn't listening. Heather continued, and her voice got that tone, half compliment, half expectation. "She's just like you were. Responsible," Heather said. "I thought you'd be proud." I felt something in my chest settle into place. Not rage. Not shock. Recognition. "No," I said. Heather paused. "No what?" "No," I repeated, clearer. "My daughter isn't paying for Sophie's trip." "It's not a trip," Heather snapped. "It's a camp." "Oh, sorry," I said, dry. "My bad. My 12-year-old isn't paying for your 12-year-old's $900 horse camp." Heather exhaled sharply. "God, you're so dramatic." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue the way we used to argue as kids, where you try to win by outlasting the other person. I just said, "We're not contributing." Heather's tone shifted, slightly colder. "Fine. It's your choice. But supporting family is a good thing, Eleanor. You know that." And there it was again. Family. Obligation. Contribution. The same song. Different verse. "I have to go," I said. Heather scoffed. "Whatever." I ended the call. I stood there for a second, phone still in my hand, and I felt empty. Not sad. Empty like you finally stop carrying something and your arms don't know what to do. Then I went to my computer, not because I'd planned it, because my body moved before my fear could argue. My banking app opened with that cheerful, neutral design, soft colors, friendly fonts, like it wasn't about to become a crime scene. I clicked into recurring payments, and there they were. Little lines, little labels, little normal things that had been siphoning off my life. Standing transfer, mom and dad mortgage, $450 per month. Standing transfer, Heather mortgage top-up, $300 per month. Monthly transfer, Heather kids, $75 per month. Monthly transfer, Leo support, $100 per month. Family utilities help, $60 per month. I stared, because when you see it all in one place, It stops being helping. It starts being a system. I clicked the first one. Cancel. Confirm. The screen asked if I was sure, in that polite tone apps use when they're about to change your life. Yes. Cancel. Confirm. One after another. It should have felt scary. It felt clean. Then I handled the access issue. The little ways my sister and brother had been able to treat my money like a shared resource. I revoked it, removed it, shut it down. No announcement, no warning, just consequences. I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until the last confirmation screen disappeared and my lungs remembered how to work. I leaned back and laughed once, quiet, disbelieving, not because it was funny, because it was absurd, because I'd been doing this for so long I'd forgotten I could stop. The front door opened an hour later. Thomas walked in, tie loosened, face tired. He paused when he saw me at the computer. "What are you doing?" he asked. I turned to him, and my voice came out steady. "I'm taking back control of my life." Thomas stared at me for a second. Then his shoulders dropped like he'd been waiting years for those words. He didn't cheer. He didn't tell me I told you so. He just nodded once. "Okay," he said. "I'm here." Mia appeared in the doorway like she'd been hovering. She held a little envelope in her hands, crumpled bills and coins inside. "I counted," she said quickly. "I have $90 now. Even with the 20, I still don't have 100. I just need 10. My stomach clenched. Mia's voice got brighter, like she was trying to sell me on the plan. "I'm gonna go ask Mrs. Novak if she needs anything else cleaned," she said. "Just a few more hours, then I'll have it." She said it like it was normal, like it was reasonable, like it was her job to buy her place in the family. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a $10 bill. I didn't make a speech. I didn't ask if she wanted it. I just placed it in her hand. Mia blinked at it, confused. "Mom?" Then I held her gaze. "You're not going," I said. Mia frowned. "What do you mean, I'm not going?" "You're not paying," I said, clear. "You're not going, and we're not paying them a penny." Mia's face shifted, confusion to panic in real time. "But Grandma said..." Her voice shook. "Grandma said if I don't pay..." She stopped mid-sentence, as if saying it out loud was painful to her. I crouched so I was eye level with her. "Mia," I said, low and steady, "listen to me. You don't pay for love. You don't pay for approval. If someone tells you your place in the family costs money, then that's not love. That's a transaction." Mia stared at me like she was trying to learn a new language. "If they want you," I continued, "they want you because you're you, not because you scraped together $100. Mia's fingers tightened around the 10. "But what if they don't?" she whispered. I swallowed. "Then that hurts. And it's not your fault. And we don't chase people who treat you like that." Mia's eyes filled again. "Everyone's going to be mad." "Let them," I said, and my voice didn't shake. "If their love comes with a price tag, then it's not love, and you're not buying it." Mia stared down at the bill. "Why did you give me the 10? She asked, small. "Because I want you to have it," I said. "It's yours. You can spend it on yourself. And because you don't need to work yourself sick to keep adults happy." Behind her, Thomas didn't speak. He just stood there, solid, present, like a wall at my back. I opened my phone and went to the family group chat, the one full of party chatter and emojis and people pretending everything was normal. My fingers hovered for 1 second. Then I typed. I posted a clear message. Mia would not attend Sophie's birthday party because she was asked to pay $100 towards Sophie's present, and I do not allow that. We would not be coming. Send. The chat went quiet for exactly 3 seconds. Then it started. Message after message. Calls. More calls. I set my phone down. I didn't answer. The next day, I had 53 missed calls. It was not over. It was just the beginning. A few days later, I went to pick Mia up from school. I was tired, but it was the clean kind of tired. The kind you feel after making a decision you should have made years ago. I pulled into the pickup line, and my heart dropped before the car even stopped. Because I saw them, my parents, standing near the curb like they belonged there, like they had a right, and Mia was with them, close to tears. I hadn't removed them from pickup permissions yet. It hadn't even occurred to me that they'd try this, that they'd go around me. I parked wrong. I didn't care. I got out and walked fast. "Mia," I said, sharp with fear. "Hey, what's going on?" My mother turned with that familiar expression, concern arranged neatly on her face. "Oh, Eleanor," she said, like I'd interrupted something normal. "We just had to talk to her." My father stood beside her, quiet, watching, saying nothing as usual. My hands curled into fists. "Why are you talking to my child?" My mother's mouth tightened. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." That sentence. Always that sentence. Mia's eyes were glassy. Her face was strained like she'd been holding in sobs for the last 10 minutes. "It's nothing," my mother said breezily. "We just wanted to clear things up." Then, like they were leaving a cafe, not a crime scene, they walked away. And Mia stood there shaking. I knelt beside her immediately. "Mia, what did they say?" Mia's face crumpled. "It's all my fault," she whispered. My blood went cold. "What?" "I destroyed the family," Mia said, voice breaking. "Everyone's mad, and it's because of me." I stared at her, horrified. "Mia, no. I shouldn't have told you," she rushed, words spilling like panic. "I should have just paid. Then you wouldn't be fighting with them. You're not talking to them because of me." I felt sick. I felt rage, hot, sharp, at my parents for putting this on a child. And worse than the rage was the realization. It had worked. They'd found the one pressure point that could still move me. Mia. I took her face gently in my hands. "Mia," I said, slow and clear. "Look at me." She tried. She was crying now. "This is not your fault," I said. "Not in any way." Mia shook her head like she didn't know how to believe it. "They said," she sobbed. "They said I broke the family." I swallowed hard. "No," I said. "They did. A long time ago. You just showed me." Mia's breath hitched. I stood up and took her hand. "We're going home." In the car, she kept wiping her face, like she was embarrassed to be human. When we got home, Thomas was there. He saw Mia's face and his expression changed instantly. "What happened?" he asked. I didn't answer right away. I shut the door behind us with a careful click. Then I said, "They cornered her at school." Thomas's jaw tightened. We sat with Mia at the kitchen table, the same table where this started, and we did something I should have done sooner. We told her the truth. Not in a dramatic speech. Not in a lecture. In a way a child could carry. "Mia," I said, "relationships aren't supposed to feel like this. Love isn't supposed to come with threats." Thomas leaned forward. "Grown-ups don't get to blame kids for grown-up choices." Mia's voice was small. "But they're family." I nodded. "They're related to us. That's not the same thing." And in that moment, I made the decision that changed everything. It wasn't just money anymore. It wasn't just a boundary. It was safety. They didn't get access to my child. Not ever again. A few weeks passed. I removed my parents from every pickup list, every contact list. I took every administrative step required to make sure they couldn't do an end run around me again. It wasn't dramatic. It was paperwork. Then, a few weeks later, the doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole, and there they were, my parents, and Heather. They stood on my porch like a committee that had come to audit my boundaries. Thomas moved in behind me, quiet, solid, the human version of don't try it. I opened the door. My mother smiled first. She always smiled first. Like if she smiled fast enough, she could skip the part where she'd done something wrong. "We're willing to let this go," she said. Heather nodded, like she was signing off on a budget. "Yeah. Mom says you're still upset about the $100 thing." "The $100 thing," I repeated. My mother waved a hand. "It was a misunderstanding." Heather snorted. "Not even. Just a bad idea." "Fine. We hear you." That was their apology. A shrug wearing lipstick. My father stared past my shoulder into my house, like he was checking whether the lights were still on, like my home had always belonged to him a little. My mother took a breath, and her tone shifted into the real reason they'd come. "Okay," she said, bright. "So, we can put this behind us and go back to normal." Normal. There it was again. Normal. "I pay. You pretend." Heather's voice went tight, urgent. "Because I'm behind, Eleanor, and Mom and Dad are stressed. This isn't cute anymore." I didn't move. I didn't invite them in. I didn't offer water. I just let the porch air do its job. "No," I said. My mother blinked, offended by the concept. "No. What?" "No to normal," I said. "No to payments. No to you showing up here like this is a negotiation." Heather laughed once, sharp and humorless. "Are you seriously punishing everyone because Mom said something stupid?" I looked at her. "Heather, your definition of punishment is me not funding your life." My father finally spoke, soft and aggrieved. "We're family." "Yeah," I said. "That's the problem. You keep saying family and hearing ATM." My mother's smile cracked. "Eleanor, don't be nasty." I tilted my head. "I'm not being nasty. I'm being accurate." Heather lifted her chin. "You make more than me. You can help. You've always helped." "And you've always taken," I said. No heat, just truth. Heather's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" I pointed with my chin, not my hand, small, controlled. "When I was 12, I worked. I handed my money over. You didn't. Leo didn't. You all called it being the oldest when it was me, and being young when it was you." My mother's mouth tightened. "We did our best. You did what was convenient," I said. "Then you got older, and you called it values." My father's jaw flexed like he wanted to argue, but he didn't have a clean place to stand. Heather tried anyway. "This is selfish. Sophie needs that camp," I cut in gently, which somehow made it sharper. "No, Sophie wants that camp. Mia needs her family not to treat her like a bill collector." Heather's face went red. "Oh my God, you're acting like we asked her to sell an organ." "You asked her to sell her peace," I said. "For a horse camp." Silence landed. Not dramatic, not cinematic. Just the moment where the math finally showed on their faces. My mother tried to regroup. Fine. Mia shouldn't pay. You're right. Happy?" I waited, because that wasn't the point, and they knew it. My father cleared his throat. "So, what do you want?" There it was, finally honest. "What do you want so we can get the money back?" "I want you off my daughter," I said. "Forever." My mother stiffened. "We are her grandparents." "And you used that to make her cry at school," I said. "So no, You don't get that title anymore. Not in practice. Heather took a step forward, voice sharpening. You can't keep her from us. Thomas moved, just a half step closer behind me. Not threatening, just present. A reminder that I wasn't alone. I looked at Heather. Watch me. Heather opened her mouth, then closed it. My mother tried for wounded. After everything... I didn't let her build the speech. After everything, I learned something important. I turned my head slightly, not taking my eyes off them. Mia, I called. Mia appeared in the hallway, small and tense like she expected lightning. Thomas shifted closer to her, still not touching, just anchoring. My mother's voice snapped. Eleanor, don't drag her into this. I kept my tone level. I'm not dragging her. You already did. Mia's eyes flicked to my parents, to Heather, then back to me. I took a breath. One. And delivered it clean. She's a child. You don't get to put your problems on her, and you don't get to use her to reach me. Mia's shoulders dropped a fraction, like her body understood safety before her brain did. Heather's face went pale in a way that made her look younger, smaller. My father stared at the porch boards like they might open up and swallow him. My mother's mouth worked, open, close, like she was searching for a word that wasn't ugly. She didn't find one. Heather recovered first, because she always did. This is unbelievable. I nodded once. Yeah, it is. My mother's voice went flat, icy. Fine. They turned and walked away with the stiff dignity of people who'd tried nothing and were all out of ideas. I watched them reach the driveway. Then I closed the door. Click. And that was it. No speech, no debate, no encore. Just the sound of an ending that didn't need their permission. 6 months later. Still no contact. I don't hear from them directly because I don't answer, but somehow I still get updates from relatives who don't want to get involved. They always say that right before getting fully involved. Leo's travel ended early. Apparently, self-discovery has a return policy when the money runs out. Heather picked up longer hours and now looks permanently offended by reality. She complains a lot, which is fair. Paying your own bills is a bold new experience. My parents are selling the house. They're calling it downsizing and going cozy. Sure, cozy is one word for we can't afford this anymore. Meanwhile, our home is easy, quiet, light. Mia doesn't come home with sore hands. I don't wake up to guilt. Our money stays in our life. And we're going places. Actual trips. Not apologies, not negotiations. Just us. So what do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.